Glad to be here. I haven't counted, but it's somewhere around 20, maybe more that I have gotten to do. And I just want to thank all the vets for sharing their stories, and thank Marilyn for arranging such an amazing thing that's gone on for so many years. I had the pleasure of hearing Christy Proy-Schmidt's story, and interesting lady, an interesting story, and basically she was 18 years old, and a recruiter kept asking over and over for her to come down and hear his pitch, and she said no thank you, or she wouldn't take the calls, but then eventually she just showed up and heard his speech, and she signed up for the Army, 18 years old. And her mom was pretty upset about that. Both of her parents were pretty upset about that. But, her dad had the thought of, well, if she signed up, we're going to let her, go and do what she's committed to. Mom cussed out the recruiter several times. And anyway, she goes, and she has many years that are, hardworking years in the Army, but not necessarily combat, and so she gets to do a lot of visiting places on the weekends and stuff like that. But then she ends up in Afghanistan, and has quite a few things happen in Afghanistan that kind of, I think, change. These will be my words, but just change your sense of safety, I guess, right? Yeah, and so eventually she, after 22 years in the Army, she came back home, and then there was the same guy that, and I just thought about this last night. So the same guy that her mom used to cuss out, the recruiter, but it wasn't the actual recruiter, it was the one that came to pick her up. 25 years after that, she started to run into him in the park all the time in Lorain, Ohio. And they would argue later, you were stalking me, no, you were stalking me. And anyway, that's him right there, am I right? Oh, he's not here today. Okay. All right. She married him, so she married the guy that came to pick her up. And I didn't think till last night, but did your mom get over that, or does she still cuss him out? She got over it. Okay, good. Good for everybody. All right. And, if I make a mistake in here, because as I'm singing sometimes, and it's supposed to say, what is fear? And sometimes I kept accidentally at home saying, what is love? And I'm like, that's not supposed to be a song. So if I do that, try to override me in your imagination. Oh, so the rest of the story, by the way, they were meeting in the park, and one day she said, I think I might like to kiss you sometime. And he said something like, okay. And turned around and he went to his truck. But then about a minute or two later, he came back, and that began her future, and present and future. Is my guitar on?
Yeah.
Veterans Day, 1992. Mom's heart was broken and the sky was blue. Her baby girl, just 18, she joined the Army and was about to leave. That recruiter, he pulled up, but he wouldn't pull in, 'cause Mom, she might cuss him out again. Lots of questions in her girl that day, but she'd signed those papers and her whole world changed. What is fear but a feeling for things you've yet to live but never done? Home is always waiting if you want to. Mom and Dad will always send their love. Every new place through the years, distraught, she'd call her folks in tears. I wanna go home, I hate it here. They'd comfort her, time would pass, and so would all her fears. And all those years and months and all those days, she saw the world and loved the choice she'd made. And anywhere the sun shines, it seems she made a friend. Her parents stood behind her again and again. What is fear but a feeling for things you've yet to live but never done? Home is always waiting if you want to. Mom and Dad will always send their love. "22 years, 2 months, and 19 days. The joy had faded, and it was time for change. Afghanistan and friends she'd lost could cloud her mind, block the sun and muddy up the happy times. Home was not the place she'd left, but at least it still existed. She moved back to rest her wounded heart. 25 years after she left home and enlisted, she took off in that young recruiter's car. They crossed paths, their conversations grew each time they met. Life was hard, but here's someone who understands. Dark and broken and the sky was blue. She said, "I'd like to kiss sometime." He said, "Okay," and walked away. If you've seen her smile, you know he turned around. With lots of questions, their whole world would change. What is fear but a feeling for things you yet to live but never done? Home is always waiting if you want to. Mom and Dad will always send their love. What is fear but a feeling for things you've yet to live but have never done? Home is always waiting if you want to. Mom and Dad will always send their love. Veterans Day in 1992. Mom's heart was broken and the skies were blue.